Bugonia.
Like this better? This is better. I'm David Canfield with the Hollywood Reporter. Thank you all so much for being here. Please join me in giving a very, very warm welcome to the incredible star of this movie and producer, Emma Stone. You must have noticed. Thank you for being here. Quite a movie. You've been working with Yorgos for a few years now. You've produced a couple of his films as well, including this one. So where does the conversation start when you're going to make a new movie? With this one, for example, where did it begin?
Well, this one was a little bit different because I think it was the first time that he had received a script. Ari Aster and Lars Knudsen had kind of commissioned the adaptation of Save the Green Planet, a South Korean film from the early 2000s, and Will Tracy wrote it. And they sent it to Yorgos, and it was like within an hour after reading it, he was like, I want to make this film. Like, this script is pretty perfect as it is. And he, before, whether it was The Favorite or Poor Things, he had worked on those for a very long time with Tony McNamara, or it was things that he had written with Lanthimos. So this was like a new experience. He sent it to me right after he read it, and that's pretty much what you saw. So that was, yeah, it was, this one was kind of quick.
At what point did you know you were going to shave your head?
I read the script. Yeah. Same day as reading the script. I knew, well, I mean, it's so early on in the film, and you know, there's no hair for the entirety of the movie, and I was like, there's no way that's ever going to be a bald cap.
It's kind of an immediate way of getting into character, right? As you are completely changing your look, you're changing, I would imagine, some of the ways that you use your hands and...
One of those.
Yeah, it's a rough one. I'll vamp a little bit. So given that, really what was it about doing that kind of as just an immediate physical choice that helped you get into character?
I mean, I think, you know, there's always something with hair and makeup and costumes that shift it, depending on the character. You know, it honestly didn't feel that different than having hair like down to here that was pinned into my head all the time. Right. For Poor Things like that. There's something that changes when you're anything physically on you changes. But this was so easy to maintain. Yeah. It was great. It cut hair and makeup time into almost nothing, but except for the fact that I had to be constantly covered in white cream, right, or blood. So it wasn't something all over me, but yeah, it was really great. Yeah. A
lot of laughs of recognition from your fellow actors there.
Yeah. You've all shaped your head as well. You get it.
So, mentioning the white cream and just the general, you know, it's a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, we can call it insanity of this movie. When you're developing it with him, and you know you're going to be doing the things in this movie that you have to do, what are those conversations like? What does the collaboration in this movie like? What kind of exchange of ideas, I guess, in this case?
Well...
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Good night. That's amazing. I mean, because it was so there on the page. It was really just, you know. Then it just became logistical conversations of where is this house going to be, which ended up being built by our incredible production designer James Price. He had this house built outside of London, and the basement was in the, you know, it was like, where are we going to shoot? Who's the crew going to be? Which was pretty much the same crew as always. We're like a traveling circus at this point. And, you know, like stunt training, and it was just that. I mean, it wasn't really, there weren't too many conversations to have outside of how are we going to do this. Yeah.
Were the rehearsals unique even for Yorgos? He's known for unique rehearsals.
I know, and we didn't really get to rehearse much on this one, which was actually okay because Jesse and I had just worked together on Kinds of Kindness, and because it was a kind of triptych of films, it felt like we had made 3 3 things together. We had played 3 different characters together. So we knew each other pretty well at that point, and we had a couple of days to kind of run dialogue, but it wasn't really the same rehearsal process that we've had before, like on The Favorite or Poor Things. Yeah.
And you both know how Yorgos works.
Yeah,
as well.
it was pretty easy to kind of, feel comfortable.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, they've seen the film, so we can talk about the film in terms of how you wanted to tip your hand versus not, what you wanted to show the audience in terms of who this woman was vis-a-vis this guy who kidnapped her, but also with the audience going on this kind of ride and not necessarily knowing if she's an alien or not. So how did you want to play that?
That was a really fun and interesting thing to tightrope to try to walk. This was the first time I mean, because so much of the time I don't want to think about, from the outside in. I want to like be as in the experience as I possibly can and not think about the eyes on it, because that changes something. But here it was different. Here I was thinking so much about people watching it, but especially for the second time, which I think worked for Michelle because she's watching herself all the time. So that was okay, but it was really interesting, just trying to put in some little things, and Yorgos and I talked about that throughout, like little tells that upon the second watch you can maybe see, but hopefully not the first time. And so that was really fun, and it was also amazing that she is a CEO that is in corporate speak all the time, because there is this sort of like illusion of humanity, but it's like oily, but it's sensitive and it's calm, and and so it feels very Andromeda naturally. So that was also helpful. I think if it had been this really warm and nurturing character, it's like, what do you mean? I'm not an alien. It would have been a different kind of challenge, but it was very fun to try to marry those 2 things.
It's sort of the whole conceit, right? Is that Jesse's character the entire time is like everything you say is like, see?
Yeah.
Because there is something slightly alien about the way corporate speak can sound sometimes. Yeah. Was there any particular research associated with getting that pattern right?
I mean, there were YouTube videos, people that run companies. I was kind of watching that, but it was more, honestly, the rabbit holes that I ended up going down were, have you guys heard about star seeds? Have you?
Yeah.
It's like a group that basically says we are part alien, like we were sent here, and then I got really obsessed with that.
As one would.
Yeah, and it's still all over my feed, the star seeds. But it was fascinating because the tendency, I think, at least from the videos that I've seen of the star seeds, it's very emotional and raw and vulnerable and like creative. So it's very different than how Michelle presents as a star seed herself. But that was a fascinating world to kind of dive into. And then other than that, I mean, again, the dialogue was so, so in there, the 5:30 thing, all of that was just so there that it was just trying to, I don't know, balance all of that out as much as I could.
Between this and Eddington, for those who've seen it, I do fear for your algorithm a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
We need to get you in some like center-left drama quick or something.
Okay. Well, okay.
Center-left, and I don't know. So, working with Jesse, he is so incredible in this movie, right?
Incredible.
As he was in Crimes of Kindness. But seeing the 2 together is like electric. So, just what's he like as a scene partner?
He's amazing. He's one of the best actors I've ever gotten to work with. And I think the greatest thing about his sort of presence, he's so accessible as an actor. So it really does sort of like, it helps make you feel, like a great scene partner makes you better and makes you more present and more in it. And he's generous, but it's also so amazing because they are so two sides of the same coin. They both are really saving the world to themselves in such different ways. And so his kind of rawness and his openness and all of that, like bleeding out of him on the surface, and then having to, sort of keep it all together in the icy way that Michelle needs to. It was a joy because he was just constantly like throwing out all of this emotion and to be like sort of a force field for it. But he's so brilliant. Yeah, it was amazing.
For as amazing as all the roles that you got to play in Yorgos' films, this one to me at times felt like the most like play-like, in that it is often you and Jesse and of course your third castmate in a room just kind of playing together. Did it feel different in that way?
Play-like meaning it felt playful, or it felt like a play?
Playful, like you get to have fun, you get to kind of just be, okay.
I don't
Thank you for
do
correcting
it
me.
all, no. But it did feel like a play.
Yeah.
Because these scenes are so, they're so rich and there's so much dialogue, and it is in such a contained environment that it really did feel like scenes from a play. But yes, I guess it was playful in a sense, but I was like chained to a cot a lot of the time.
Fair enough.
So it didn't feel that playful. Like it was fun in its own way. But no, it was really like, especially that the scene at the dinner table really did feel, that was the most playful probably moment, because when you look at the scenes, they're really just both standing their ground and sort of defending against each other and trying to make their point known in almost every scene. But at the dinner table, there's one opportunity where he's looking at her differently and she's looking at him a bit differently. And that was the most kind of like interesting one to navigate, how you would connect when you only have this one opportunity for those characters to connect in that way. So that one was very playful, but then, he comes across the table and he tackles me and then we get in a huge fight again. It wasn't as playful anymore.
I guess I was also just thinking about the tone of the movie. At times it is funnier than one might expect, just given...
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
I still think it's a comedy.
We're all like just trying to find...
Yorgos says that every single day on set, on any film that I've done with him. He goes, it's a comedy. Every day. So if you're ever getting too heavy, he's like, it's a comedy.
So on this one, what did that look like? How did the tone even surprise you a little bit? Because I would imagine on the page it could go a number of ways.
Well, I mean, I guess it did and it didn't, because Yorgos is such a master of those tonal shifts, and his instincts in the moment are really great, but he kind of just lets you go for it and then lets you know if something feels really off. So it was, I don't know. I think maybe I kind of, again, the script, back to the script again. The script is so good, and it really does, it walks that kind of flip-flop of, is it true, is it not? The moments of sort of violence and intensity come out of these. It felt like I understood the tone of the page, and I trusted Yorgos so deeply to bring that to life. So it was really, I don't know. Did I answer your question? What was your question?
It was about finding the tone, if it surprised you at all when you guys, you and Jesse.
Didn't surprise me at all.
I would guess with Yorgos too, it's always, in a way, it's always surprising and therefore maybe never surprising.
Exactly. It's that things are going to be, and that he's so open to finding moments as we're doing it. Like Jesse, there was an improvised line where he goes, "I'm not a sick ape." where in that, like, you sick ape. He added in, "I'm not a sick ape." And it was so great in that moment and devastating. And he's just, so much, he's just lost the two people he loves the most and killed a guy. And he's just sitting there saying, I'm not a sick ape, and it was beautiful. And Yorgos has an openness to those, these things coming in, or Aiden at the dinner table who added in, can I go to the bathroom? Which is so perfect. He's also incredible. This was his first film. Oh my God. He's just brilliant, and was such I can't imagine anyone else in the world playing Don, who is the true heart of the film. Yeah, but so anyway, yes, there's always those moments that you are surprising that you don't know what to, and that become like a really amazing touchstone for the scene. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about filming those last few scenes that are not of this earth, and what that looked like for you, what it felt like on set?
Yes. That was there was that goo pool.
Yep.
Where there was like a rescue diver in there with me. It would walk me in and out because it was so slippery, and he was in like a full scuba suit, so that was fun. But no, it was this incredible world. I mean, I think that what they look like is so funny. It makes me laugh every time it goes to that scene because of the way they walk. And the knits, and then the weird beanie crown. And then the language, which was really, Johnny Byrne, our sound designer, had me record. I texted him a voice recording of what the subtitles say in English, and he took it and he mixed it all up to create a new language, and then wrote down what the language is and played back what he had mixed up in his computer. And then Jima, who played the other alien that I'm speaking to, Andromedon, that I'm speaking to, and I learned it. And it was so fun to learn this new language. Also hilarious, sorry, this is kind of a side note, but just about shooting it. Jima is our stills photographer on all of the Yorgos films. He's never been in a film. And we have no pictures from the week before this, because every second of the day, he had the script, written out, and he's like, Emily, can I run this with you? And I was like, well, Jima, we really are shooting some other stuff, there's like other stuff coming up. And he's like, okay, but can you just hear what I've done? And I'm like, okay. And he goes, Shakrath. And I was like, and then he's like, oh, it's the net. And then we just looked down and he just kept saying, Shakrath. For like a full week. And I was like, oh no. Oh boy. But he was amazing. He was amazing. He got it all out on the day.
It worked out.
Yeah. Always stopping at Shakrath. Yeah. Anyway. It was a lot of fun, long story short. The goo, the language.
That was fun.
Great. That was fun.
There we go.
And then popping the bubble. Yeah.
I'm curious.
Sad, but fun.
I'm curious, like the level of involvement you have in post-production and like looking at the edit as a producer. Mainly because I'm just interested in you being an actor to a degree. I would imagine assessing your own performance in the edit. Does that come up at all?
Since beginning to produce, it's been easier to watch myself, even though it's literally a nightmare to me. I'm able to take myself out of it more, which has been really nice, because the level of meltdowns that I have had after watching a film I've been in is embarrassing. I'll never like it, but I am able to see it a little bit differently now, I think. Yes, I watched multiple cuts as he's editing. He seems to only really take, Yorgos specifically, other directors are different, but for whatever reason, Yorgos takes notes from my mom, but not really from me. If I give him a note, he says, what does Krista think of that? And I say, that was actually her idea. And he's like, great, I'll do it. He really trusts my mom's taste. But it's been incredible to now be able to sort of enter into that world, especially with films that I'm not in. It makes it simpler when it comes to the editing process, but yeah, it's all throughout.
When was the first time he asked your mother for feedback? Do you remember?
I think he realized after The Favorite, she was like, that's my favorite movie of all time. And I was like, whoa, okay. And Yorgos was like, really? And then she, for whatever reason, is like the biggest Kinds of Kindness fan. She was like, Bugonia's great, but Kinds of Kindness is really him. You know, it's really him. And I'm like, okay, great. So she's, yeah, I think he just gets it. She really gets him. And that's great.
She might be the stills photographer playing Andromeda.
She would love to be a script supervisor. That would be her dream. Yes.
Lastly, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this movie's themes, if only because I think of all the films you've made with Yorgos, this one, for me at least, really hit the hardest just in terms of like where we are, the way conversation is right now. There's a directness to it and intensity, and I wonder just how that hit you and maybe what excited you about that.
It was interesting because thinking about it, I realized that all of Yorgos' films that I've seen or have been part of, they're sometimes in our world, but it's a more absurdist, sort of surreal version of our world. This feels the most close to reality, though there's a spaceship in it. And so it was really interesting. I mean, I think he's definitely, obviously drawn to themes of power and control, codependence, who's in charge. And that is so much, obviously, part of this story, but it was emotional, and it was really interesting to see. Just, you know, sadly, it's weird because even since we made the movie, the sort of relevancy of it has become only more so, or things feel like a bit of an overlap, which is terrifying in many ways. But yeah, it did feel different. It felt different to be in this basement, in this contained environment. You know, we've been on such fantastical sort of sets, and or in the world of Kinds of Kindness, it's kind of the oddity of the world, and obviously, you know, the kind of thing with like Dogtooth or The Lobster or Sacred Deer. It's our world but different. Am I answering? What is wrong with me today? I'm so sorry. I don't do Q&As alone ever. Scary. Usually someone can make sense of what my answers are. Yeah, it was cool.
Perfect note.
Sorry. Thank you all so much for coming to this.
Thank you all so much, Emma Stone.
Sorry it was only me. Jesse couldn't be here. This is in Berlin. Thanks for having me.